It was a Tuesday night in Jakarta, the kind where the rain doesn't just fall, it clings to your skin like a cold, wet shroud. Budi, a veteran motorcycle delivery driver, was soaking wet and exhausted after a 12-hour shift. The city streets were unusually quiet, the neon signs of the closed shops blurring into smears of light on the asphalt. He pulled his bike over under a leaking canopy, shivering as he reached for his phone to finally log off and go home to his warm bed. Just as his thumb hovered over the exit button, a sound he hadn't heard in years pierced the silence. It was a sharp, digital chime, the distinct notification sound of Go Ride version 1.0. Budi froze. That specific version of the app had been officially decommissioned and deleted from all servers over 3 years ago. Yet there it was, glowing on his screen with an active delivery request. The payout displayed was astronomical, nearly 10 times the standard rate for a single food delivery. The lure of the money fought against the rising dread in his chest. Thinking it was a glitch that might favor his empty wallet, Budi tapped accept. The pickup location was a small, dimly lit food stall on the edge of the city. When he arrived, the old woman running the stall didn't greet him. She simply handed him a plastic bag wrapped in tattered brown paper. The package felt unnaturally cold, almost like ice, and a faint smell of jasmine and damp earth wafted from it. She didn't look at him once. He checked the drop-off location on the map. It was deep within the outskirts, an area he rarely frequented. As he rode, the familiar sounds of the city faded into an oppressive silence, broken only by the rhythmic splashing of his tires in deep puddles. The GPS voice on the old app sounded distorted, like a scratchy recording from a bygone era, whispering directions that seemed to lead him further into the void. The trees lining the road leaned in close, their bare branches scratching at his helmet. "You have arrived at your destination," the digital voice crackled. Budi braked hard, his heart hammering against his ribs. He wasn't in front of a house, a warehouse, or an apartment building. He was standing before the rusted, towering gates of the Jerik Poret Cemetery, one of the oldest burial grounds in the region. The GPS marker was pulsing directly in the center of the graveyard, deep among the rows of moss-covered tombstones and sagging stone monuments. There was no one else in sight. Driven by a compulsion he couldn't explain, or perhaps a fear of failing the task, Budi took the package and stepped through the creaking gates. The air inside the cemetery felt heavy and thick, making it hard to breathe. Every step he took on the gravel sounded like a gunshot in the stillness. Shadows danced between the graves, shifting into grotesque shapes that seemed to follow his progress. He looked down at his phone. The blue dot representing his location was crawling slowly toward a large, ornate mausoleum. He reached the spot. It was a crumbling stone grave, the name and dates long ago eroded by the elements. On top of the grave sat a single, fresh white candle, its flame burning steady and bright, despite the wind and the drizzle. Budi placed the food delivery on the cold stone, his hands shaking violently. Suddenly, the screen of his phone flickered with static, and a message appeared in the chat box. "Thank you, Budi. I have been so hungry." The text appeared letter by letter, as if someone were typing it in real time. A cold breath brushed against the back of Budi's neck, and a faint, feminine giggle echoed from behind the stone structure. He spun around, his flashlight beam swinging wildly, but there was nothing there, only the tall grass swaying in the breeze. He looked back at the grave, and his blood turned to ice. The plastic bag was open, and the food was gone. In its place lay 3 ancient silver coins. The air grew suddenly colder, and the candle flame turned a sickly, supernatural shade of blue. Panic finally took hold. Booty turned and sprinted back toward the gates, his boots slipping on the slick mud. He didn't look back, even when he heard the sound of wet, heavy thuds chasing him, matching his own pace perfectly. He reached his motorcycle, fumbled with the keys, and roared the engine to life. As he sped away, he glanced in his rearview mirror and saw a pale, slender figure standing by the gate, waving a hand in a slow, rhythmic goodbye. The app on his phone suddenly crashed, the screen turning a deep, bloody red. The next morning, Booty went to the headquarters of the delivery company to report the incident, thinking his account had been hacked. The staff looked at him with confusion. They explained that the version of the app he showed them had been completely wiped from their servers years ago after a catastrophic data center fire. There was no record of his delivery, no customer name, and no payment pending. When he showed them the silver coins, the room went silent. An older manager whispered that those coins were used in funeral rites over a century ago. Booty never drove at night again. He deleted every delivery app from his phone, haunted by the memory of that digital chime. He still sometimes hears that feminine giggle when the rain starts to fall, and his phone occasionally vibrates with a notification that isn't there when he checks it. The mystery of the ghost order remains unsolved, a chilling reminder that in our digital age, some connections can reach out from beyond the grave. What would you do if a deleted app called out to you in the dark? Thank you for joining us for this terrifying journey into the unknown. The world is full of mysteries that logic cannot explain, and sometimes the technology we trust is the very thing that leads us into the shadows. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more chilling accounts of the paranormal from the streets of the city, make sure to show your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. Stay safe out there, and always check who is really sending that notification.